Welcome to today's show. My guest today is Swanette Kuntze. She is the founder of Avant Edge Match, which is an innovation consultancy connecting the best inventions and future solutions in things like ecotech, sustainability, meditech, health and wellness with conscious investors who are looking to create a legacy of positive planetary impact. This is amazing. So, Swanette, thank you for being here. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's really a pleasure speaking with you today.
And I mean, I've known you for, I don't know, a year, maybe 2 years peripherally. We're in a couple of connection groups together, but I've always been intrigued with you and what you do. And it seems like I probably don't know 10% of what you've done in your life. I would love to know more about you. How did you get started? What have you done that brought you here?
Yeah, so this has really been a journey of, I would say, breakdowns and reinventing myself. And as I look back, I started all my education in science. I'm educated in medicine and worked in clinical microbiology in a laboratory for many years. But also I'm an engineer in chemical environmental technology.
Whoa. Yeah, that's already a lot. It's no wonder I'm confused about what you do.
Yeah, so this is my science background, and I worked in the area of toxic substances in houses and how they impact the health of people. And we did analysis and renovation of buildings that were toxic into sustainable and organic buildings so that people could live healthy in their environment.
Wow.
Yeah, so this was kind of my beginning. And
where was all of this happening? What part of the world were you doing this work?
Yeah, so originally I'm from Germany, as you can hear from my accent.
Yeah.
Now living in beautiful Madeira Island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, an island that belongs to Portugal.
Wonderful. So after medicine and engineering, my gosh, and doing all of this work, so how did you then end up in Madeira?
Oh, this is a long, long story because, yeah, after being an engineer and having an agency together with my, at that time, husband, we got split up because he got cancer and we went through a hard process for him having treatments and at the same time trying to have our agency working. And at the end, we figured out, so no, he was again healthy, and we figured out we cannot continue together. We are still very good friends, but I really had to move out of the house, and we closed our business. And I restarted with, I would say, 2 cats at that time, my computer, and some luggage. And I went into a business consultancy. This was a consultancy for organizational transformation and personal development. And I worked as a consultant and coach. I also studied economics, and I'm a certified business coach and have a lot of other degrees as well. I don't want to bring them all out. But for me, it was a change from being the engineer to becoming more the person who works with humans. But it is the same process. It's like getting to understand where people at, what are their struggles, what are their challenges, and finding solutions that really help them to live a healthy and successful and fulfilled life. So I worked as a coach for many years, and then I had my own coaching consultancy, and I had some employees, and we worked in cultural change in organizations. So making them more democratic, how to mediate conflicts, and to really help them to live a life that they don't have to, on the one hand, have their working life and then their private life, but being integrated in this company as it feels like being in a family. And I worked a lot, and until a moment where my body said it's enough. So from the outside, it looked like a jet set life. I was today in Paris, tomorrow in London, but I really had no free time anymore for myself. And this means like working 60 to 80 hours a week. This is not normal. You can't do this for a very long time, and especially not if you are in human design as a projector, as I am.
Yeah.
And so I really lived a generator life. And for many, many years, this worked. I could do that, living in trains and planes and hotels. But it was like for too long. And then one day it was really, again, like, I can remember it was yesterday, Monday morning. I had all the suitcases and project maps and tickets planned for the week. They were all stored in the floor. And I had to go up 5 o'clock in the morning, still pitch black outside, all neighbors still sleeping. And it was like, okay, my body saying, no way, you will not get up, burn out.
Wow.
And so I was so low in energy that I was not even able to stand up anymore. It was really like total knockout. And so I called my assistant, telling her, like, I need some tea, and I need some time off. Do whatever you can to change all my appointments. I'm not able to work anymore. And so after some time, I felt like I need to have a little bit of a time out for myself. And as the universe is delivering, synchronicity appeared, and I found an advertising all inclusive to go to Madeira Island. And it was like January, it was cold in Germany, and like this kind of snow, rain, and really not a weather I totally like. And I went into the plane, and I came out of the plane here, 26 degrees, sunshine, blue sky, and the ocean, and an abundance of flowers and plants and vegetation and different zones of the environment. It was so amazing that I really fell in love with the island at first sight. And at that time, I still couldn't live here, but it was a feeling I need to come back. And so I reduced my work. I came back another time for holidays. Again, the same feeling. I'm so connected to this place, and I love being here. And it was this strong feeling, I will not buy a ticket back again when I come next time. And so,
isn't that magical?
Yeah, it was really like, sometimes you have these moments when you come to a place, you feel that you really belong here.
Yeah.
And so it was this feeling for me. And so then at that time, my mother was still suffering from dementia. I had a dog, 16 years old. Oof. And so it was not the time to really leave. But then it happened really very quick, one after the other. My dog died, my mother died. And I had this feeling, now I'm free. And so I decided now it's the time. In very short time, I sold my house, sold my horses, closed my business, sold my car, everything, and just came here with 3 cats, a suitcase, and a laptop. And this was the moment since then, I'm living here, Madeira Island.
So, you know all about expanding potential. I mean, it's what I especially love to talk about here, but you're somebody who's been kind of living that your whole life in different ways. And I just love the idea that you left something very successful for the idea of something more expansive for you, that you came to a point of kind of conventional success where the exhilaration of that was not feeding you anymore. Like when it stops feeding you, you have to do something else. Of course, there are some people who love to live in that energy, and it sort of it regenerates energy from that. But it's like you said, as a projector, that was not the right space for you. And so tell me what you've been working on since, I mean, tell me about your project now, I guess, Avant Edge Match.
Yeah, so there's something in between because
Okay.
yeah.
Because of course.
Yeah, so like when I came here to Madeira, I first gave myself half a year of a sabbatical to really sit at the beach and connect with myself and with this planet and also with the galaxy to understand what it is that I really have to manifest here. What is my mission? Why am I here? And why am I so different? And not that I'm different because I'm a projector, but I'm different as I had a near-death experience when I was 8 years old. And since then, my sixth sense is open. I'm clairvoyant and precognitive.
Mm.
And yeah, so being a child from this moment, and people didn't even know, the doctors didn't even know what happened with me, why I was in coma, and what happened that I got this near-death experience. Like for me, it was a moment of lying on a doctor's bed, and they stuck in a long needle into my spinal cord to take out some liquor because I thought I had a meningitis and therefore I was in coma.
Right.
But for me, it was like I was seeing myself lying on this bed. My parents were outside. They were not in the same room. And I could see like the doctor and the nurses running around doing treatments and analysis and whatever they did. And it was me being like pulled into the light. It was really a feeling of loving and calmness and being free. And it was so beautiful that, yeah, my soul wanted to disappear while my body was still laying there. And the next moment I was pushed back into my body and I woke up from my own screaming because of this horrible pain that I had with this needle in my spinal cord. And the next moment I was in coma again and again. And it is not that this was the first and only time. It happened over and over and over again that I was fainting away and was in coma, just sometimes for like an hour, but this time it was for 2 days. So nobody knew what was happening with me. I got a lot of different medicine to take because they thought, oh, it was low blood pressure. And yeah, I got
it was not meningitis in the end.
No, it was not meningitis, no. And as a child, I was in hospital over and over again and having all these kind of diagnoses with EEGs and whatever they did as scans. And definitely nobody knew what was happening with me. Only me figured out when I started studying chemistry and worked as the engineer that at that time, being a child, 8 years old, I was toxified by pesticides.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my parents didn't know, but they painted the ceiling, the wooden ceiling of my room with a color that included pesticides. And at that time, it was kind of common to use these kind of paints to protect the wood from insects going in. But of course, what will kill insects also will kill little children. And these were neurotoxins. So I was poisoned every night, breathing in this PCP and lindan, and it was accumulated in my body. And so I had years being toxified by this. And when I studied chemistry and especially working as the engineer in this kind of topics, I understood, oh, this was happening with me as a child.
We'll be right back with the limitless Swanette Kuntze after this short break. I want to take this opportunity to say a bit about toxicity and the physical body, because we have a funny idea in Western society about where our body fits into the whole spiritual picture, as if everything spiritual is nothing but a mental activity. The Eastern cultures have a long, long association with how energies move right in the body. Take Chinese medicine, for example. The meridian system is over 2,500 years old, this map of energetic highways governing the flow of chi, what they call chi, which is life energy. And Hindu texts from roughly the same era, like over 2,000 years ago, mention the chakras, which are focal points of the subtle energies in the body. Both cultures, as well as the ancient Egyptians, recognized what is known as the third eye, located in the pineal gland, which Swanette mentioned. And this organ is believed to be an important source of our connection to higher realms of knowledge and consciousness. So when it gets damaged, specifically by chemicals like fluoride and aluminum that are so present in our foods and other things, we slowly lose our access to other realms of existence. So there is one of the Bach flowers that is known specifically to be excellent for detoxifying the body, and that is crabapple. I've connected crabapple to 2 of the 4 channels of consciousness, the victim warrior channel, which is all about the body and the material world, and the saboteur magician channel, which deals with activity of the mind. And so includes things like data and evidence and our concept of time and linear progress. What Swanette described about being poisoned means that in some way her defenses were insufficient to keep these airborne toxins out of her body or to eliminate them from her system. And that's a victim perspective, even if objectively it was true at the time, given that these things would pretty much poison anyone with enough exposure over time. And there's time that I just mentioned. Time is the saboteur outlook. Like a few days or weeks of that exposure might have been tolerated well, but over time it was too much for her, and she reacted with this very severe response. So, you know, as an adult later on, she was eventually able to activate her warrior energy pattern to get all the resources that she needed to help her eliminate all traces of the poisons. And of course, her magician archetype told her that everything is possible, which is the truth, even if the doctors didn't know what was wrong with her. And it was a big mystery from the whole science point of view. She was able to tap into her intuitive nature. You could call that your higher self, if you like. That's the part of you that knows that there's much more about life and the universe that defies our human understanding than everything we could ever quantify or put into books. So when you take crabapple as a Bach remedy, you're not merely activating a cleansing process on the physical level, you are also firing up your warrior and magician archetypes that go to work basically materializing anything you want, because your cells now have access to the frequencies that make everything possible. Let's get back to Swanette Kuntze and hear the rest of her remarkable story.
Of course, now I detoxed, but for me, it was really clear that there is something more than just me being this bio body. There's something more, that there are other realms and other realities beyond. And having this sixth sense, being clairvoyant and precognitive, I was always different as a child. And
how did you deal with that as a child? I'm curious, because I know, you know, people often talk about having those kind of capabilities as a child. It doesn't often go down very well with the rest of your family. What was your experience of that?
Being bullied massively. So I can remember that there have been times when other children were holding my arms, and one child was painting something on my forefront during school time. I was, bullied, and other kids were like hitting me. So really strange things happened. And there was a time when I was 12 years old that I decided that I don't want to live anymore. Wow. So that, Yeah, it was a feeling, I can't handle this life on this planet. And at the same time, there was this immense longing for, I would call it home. Yeah, it is a place that is, my soul is longing for that, being there,
Yeah.
being home, being in this area of peace and loving harmony again. So yeah, with 12 years old, it was the first time that I wanted to leave this planet. And when I was a little bit older, I went into drugs and yeah, all this process to stop this from being part of my reality. And also this helped because my abilities disappeared for some time. But it is like if you suppress something, it is not working really for the long term. So it came back up, and especially
Wow.
now here being in Madeira, it's like it fully opened up again, and I have access to this ability, and I'm also willing to share this here on this podcast, because this is a strong part that is within me. So I really live this part as well in my work, being intuitive and understanding what is in the emerging future already. I can see what is trying to manifest before it manifests. For example, I knew 2 weeks before Notre Dame burned, the church in Paris.
Yeah.
And shared it with a friend, told her, it sounds strange, but what I can see is the next church that is burning is Notre Dame. And she said, oh yeah, but this is made of stone, and why would someone burn Notre Dame, blah, blah. And I said, I'm just seeing this in the field. 2 weeks later,
Wow.
I got a call from her. Have you heard about that? It's in the media, Notre Dame is burning. And I said, yeah, don't tell me something I already know. Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Wow. So what fascinates me about this is that, you know, I guess this is what intrigues me about the whole idea of the limitless nature of human potential, because your experience, the fact that you have this capacity, means that in some way everyone has some ability to have this capacity, more or less than others, in the same way that our, you know, physical strength or whatever can differ from person to person, or sort of a memory or intellectual capacity. But it's like people who have a kind of a perfect memory for whatever they read or for whatever they see. Some people who remember things forever, like whatever they've ever done is completely accessible to them. It's not like a one-off freaky thing. You are an example of someone who, for whatever reason, has this highly developed ability, but the ability is native to all human beings. It has to be, because you're not an alien. So it's you know, I find it fascinating to get to speak to somebody who is living this experience of having that highly developed skill or sense or sensitivity, whatever we want to call it. It's wonderful.
Definitely, I would say everybody has this, and you often can hear it in little children in a time before they have been conditioned and educated into the cultural behavior, or whatever you want to call that. So they often know things before they happen. Now they can tell, oh, grandma is not feeling well, even though she's like kilometers away, or they can see entities, and the adults tell them, oh, they don't exist, but they do. Yeah. So children often have this ability, but then something happens, and this is definitely the educational part and the cultural part, but also, of course, often intoxication. Like if you, for example, use fluoride in your toothpaste.
Fluoride, yeah.
Fluoride, yeah, in your toothpaste, you close your third eye, your pineal gland. or if you have like a lot of vaccinations as children, then you have problems with like I don't know the English word, like aluminium and
Yes, yeah,
other
aluminum,
heavy other heavy metals, and also other chemicals that are have an impact
damaging the pathways that these abilities require.
Yeah. So, and the more these children get like intoxicated also by food, for example, if they get a lot of processed food, for example, then this will reduce the capacity to have the sixth sense open, as the pineal gland is damaged. Yeah, and then they don't have the access to the quantum field anymore.
So say more about the quantum field, because I love talking about that myself, but please.
Yeah, I would say that this is like the field of all possibilities. And as we have a construct that we have like a linear time, and this helps not to come on a call, of course, but I would say from my experience that there's nothing like linearity, that there are overlaying dimensions which you can jump from one to another. You can quantum leap time to make things happen.
Yeah.
And we often see that that when we think about something that we want to create, synchronicities appear, and like from out of nowhere, kind of out of nowhere, but because we set this intention to know more about that, we put in this energy into the quantum field, and the universe is reacting with that and says, okay, you want to get this delivered, of course, no? And then we get emails about something, or we run into people who share the same things, or people tell us something, we read a book, and it is like, oh, no, why is this happening? That at this moment I get all the information that will bring me not only to the next step, but really helps me to jump for the next 10. So I think that these realities already kind of exist in the quantum field, and I call this is a possibility realms of emerging future. And when we have clarity on what we want to create and have set the intention and put the energy in, then this will manifest in our life. And I use this technology, so to say, for myself, like changing my own perspective. And I have methodology experience that is called metanoia, and it is the change of perspective to see what would be possible if I create something different for myself. And I'm using this over and over again as I'm reinventing myself. And at the moment, I'm doing this as I'm connecting my intuitive side and my science side to connect with inventors, people who are there, that are the rule breakers, the system disruptors, the one that really make a change and create, are the pioneers in their field, with impact investors, and the ones that want to support the paradigm shift that is necessary right now.
So, you're the perfect person to be doing this kind of work, because you have the deep science background, the engineering, the medical tech, the biotech. You have all of that technical expertise and work experience to be able to look at new inventions and say, yeah, that's the thing, and to validate, whatever, right? Like, you can validate a technology not only from the science and technical perspective, but from the point of view that you can see literally into the future, that yes, this is something needed, or yes, this is going to be the next big thing. And now you can connect those people who are everywhere in the world, who are trying to do something purposeful with the money that they've amassed, all the 1%ers, or the 1% of the 1%, those people want to invest in things that will both make money and make great change in the world, which, those things are all around us, right? So there couldn't be anybody more perfect to do that kind of work than you. So you have really reinvented yourself into the specific place where you can make a contribution that nobody else can make, this specific contribution that you're doing right now. I think it's brilliant.
And it is also my curiosity. So I'm always curious about what can be possible for inventions. Like I was always curious about life, how we as people work, and why is our body set up in a certain kind of way. And this brought me into medicine, of course. But there is so much more that is not even agreed on in science that is there, because we can't measure it. It doesn't exist. It's not true. Yeah, it is there, and it has been there. Like, for example, I had an amazing interview with someone who is a scalar energy researcher, and he is using the energy from the quantum field for healing people, for example, with infections and with cancer. And yeah, you would say, oh, this is impossible. But if you look back into what Nikola Tesla did, and this is technology that, the patents are under disclosure for a reason. But if you go into this kind of science, you will understand that, the universe is not empty. There is energy, and you can use it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Also, you know, in my line of work, using these flower essence remedies that are made really by taking what is in nature and finding a way to, you know, make it accessible to people. You know, how can we access these things short of, you can't take yourself into nature next to a certain tree or plant in a moment when you need it. You know, how can we bring the energy of those plants to people in their homes where they need it? And this, you know, originally, well, long story, but I'll just tell you that, you know, I was a homeopath for 25 years. So I've been working with energy medicine, and forever, whoever doesn't know, you know, homeopathy is being used by 500 million people in the world for the last 200 years. It's not, you know, it wouldn't stick around if it was nothing, you know. But there was a guy, a homeopath about maybe 130 years ago, I suppose, who wanted to create something new in homeopathy. And he created what he called arborvital medicine, which was to take a vial of alcohol, a kind of pure preservative, and just to dip a branch of a living tree into this alcohol and hold it there a few hours or whatever, and that some healing properties of the plant were being absorbed into the dilutant, into the carrier material. And he was using 1 drop of that liquid as a medicine, but what he was treating was cancer. And he was getting phenomenal results with that. So he was considered a kind of a quirky, you know, it's a kind of a quirky branch of homeopathy. But the fact is that, you know, he was a medical doctor who had tremendous success with those things. And then came Edward Bach, who developed this whole system of flower medicine to take the petals, the flowering part of the plant, and put it in a bowl of spring water in the sun, which is ultraviolet radiation. Let's be honest here. You know, you expose the plant to ultraviolet radiation and to water, which has the capacity to organize its molecules like a, you know, data storage system. And this became the medicine. And it's gone all over the world for 100 years. It's in every country. It's in every kind of conventional store now. You can buy these things. So these technologies they are part of science because we can, you know, we can examine how they work, right? But like I've just come into contact with someone who can help me to access, he's so enthusiastic about my system. He wants to help me to access testing with conventional medical testing equipment, MRI, etc., to do before and after testing so that we can see with our imaging what's happening when somebody takes a remedy, what is actually changing in their structures. Like, I think it's fantastic to marry these worlds of these spiritual technologies and the science, all the branches of science that we have to, to bring everybody forward together with all that we have, and not say science is bad or metaphysics is bad or spiritual technologies don't match together. This is kind of maybe we're working on the unified field here in our own way, right? But it's very cool.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like if you take the flowers, or like also the hands of healers, and use, I think it's called in English, Kirlian photography.
Yes, Kirlian photography, yeah.
Kirlian, yeah. Then you can see like the energetic
the aura,
field.
yeah.
So you see the aura, and therefore, because we can't see that our hands are magical with our eyes and our really reduced senses, then it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And especially, when you treat animals. And so to share a little bit about my private side as well, I've been an animal protector for many, many years, and also a foster for animals that came from very bad situations, being in a shelter, being on the street, and I help them to heal. And
Wonderful.
they don't know anything like the placebo effect. So if they get this kind of homeopathy, or like the healing from my hands, I can see that they are changing, and you can't make this up because they don't know, but they react. Yeah. So this is more than enough proof for me.
So great. Well, Swanette, this has been an amazing conversation. I'm really grateful to you for coming on, and so glad to hear all of this about you, and that clears up a lot of my wondering who is this fascinating person that I keep encountering. So thanks again, and please let the listeners know, how can they contact you for yourself or for Avant Edge Match?
Yeah, so the easiest way is, for example, via LinkedIn. You find myself with my name, Swanette Kuntze. Also, I'm on Instagram or Facebook, or you can send me a message on info@beyond-brilliance.life.
You just have to say that again because the internet cut out. Info@
beyond-brilliance.life.
Beyond-brilliance.life. Cool. Wonderful. Thank you, Swanette. This was great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for being a guest on your show today, and let me share my history and also understanding a little bit about you and your work. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Limitless is produced by Neil Haley, with music by Danny Columbi. I'm Tracy Poizner. If you're an innovator, a business leader, or a high performer with deep curiosity about the uncharted reaches of your own potential, visit tracypoizner.com for an accelerated pathway toward unimagined achievements and legacy milestones. I'll look forward to meeting you.